Live from New Jersey, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Madison, Wisconsin, this is The Lab. With your alchemists, Angel Guevara and Greg Posner. Tonight's special guest, Jennifer Javornik from Filament Games and Mondae Atughonu from Leap of Faith Studios. Also starring Cassandra and Rick Bauer. Tonight on The Lab, inside the game industry.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to a great episode of The Lab. My name is Angel. I'm one of your hosts, and I'm here with my awesome co-host, Greg. Greg, how's it going, man?
You know, it is going all right, Angel. I think the flu is going around, and I think a bunch of us have gotten bitten by that flu bug. And I think Rick is out for the count today. I just got bitten by it, but I'd be on the lookout, Angel and Cassandra. You know, it's only a matter of time these days.
It's that time of year, right? Yeah, unfortunately, Rick is not here with us, but he'll be back next week. Rick, we miss you, man. It's not the same without you, but Greg, how's it going, man? Tell me.
Nah, man, it's going great. We took a week off last night to recoup, recover, build out some new cool things. I'm ready to start talking gaming, all the new stuff that's been coming out. There's been lots of news and lots of new things that we are incorporating to tonight's stream. So I think we should kind of talk through it, and maybe we can start with points and why points matter. So for anyone that's in Twitch, points are specifically for Twitch. It's called a Twitch currency. I don't know what it is, but in Twitch, if you do exclamation point points, what you'll do is you'll be able to see how many points you have, and that will enable you to play a whole bunch of different games. It will help you do things in the survey. It will help you do things like spinning the wheel, and eventually you're going to be able to purchase lab merchandise with these points. So I'm excited about the idea of these points. I'm excited about these new games that we're incorporating with it, and I'm excited about some of the new features. How are you feeling about that stuff, Angel?
Dude, honestly, guys, here at The Lab, we're built different. We're different from other shows. And why is that? In here, we really value engagement and community. That is why, we want to be able to have it in the system, right? So please, guys, chat as much as possible, interact with us, ask questions to our guests. Interaction is super important at The Lab. And not only that, but if you interact with us, you send messages, and you play games, you can get some points, and then you can get some lab drip. You can get a shirt, you can get a cap, you can get a mug. So interaction is king. Speaking of interaction, guys, if you can please in the chat, let us know where you guys are watching us. That would be great. Please let us know where are you watching us.
So, Angel, we've had a lot of new game stuff come out these past couple weeks. As people are answering, letting us know where they're from, what games have you been playing this week?
Dude, honestly, all right, this week, so I'm finishing up Ninja Gaiden Black 2. I'm almost there. And I got Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I don't know if you've heard of that game.
Yeah, I heard a lot about it. I heard it's spicy. I've been wanting to pick that up. Yeah, I have a few games in my backlog, but that is jumping its way to the top.
Dude, it's really, really fun. And, okay, we have Molly from Arkansas. Molly, hey, how's it going? Yeah, I interviewed Molly in Flama. Molly's a very good friend. We have people in Arkansas watching us. I love it. We're all over the country. I love it. Yeah, Kingdom Come Deliverance is a very awesome game. It's sort of like a realistic Skyrim, and it really makes you empathize with people who lived during the medieval ages.
Nice.
Greg, you gotta pick it up, man. You gotta pick it up.
Yeah, I need a new single player game, and I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3, and I feel like I'm embarrassed to admit that on a gaming live stream, but that is also one that's competing for my time right now. I feel like if I start Baldur's Gate, it's gonna just fully take me away from everything in my life, and I'm not quite sure if I'm ready for that yet.
Dude, it's gonna be like 120 hours, but let me tell you, it is worth it, Greg. Please do it.
All right. I'm gonna have to check it out.
For sure. And Greg, if you look at the chat, we have people commenting. We have people from Madison, Wisconsin, people in LA. Let's go, represent.
There we
We have
go.
some people in Green Bay. Awesome. All right. That's cool. That's cool. I love it. Greg, we recently, today, right? We had PlayStation State of Play.
Yeah, man. PlayStation State of Play came, I think, just about 3 hours ago, so it's pretty much fresh off the cooker here. And they announced a lot of big games coming out. First one is that really stood out was a game called Soros. It was House Marquee's next big game. It's going to come out in 2026, and they actually built Returnal a couple of years ago. I'm not sure if you played Returnal. It was I think it was a roguelite type of first-person shooter. I am not a PlayStation player, although I should be because my son keeps telling me he wants to play Spider-Man. But I heard Returnal was mind-blowing, and I know Soros is automatically going to really get on the top of people's lists here because of what they've built.
Definitely, dude. Returnal, and most PlayStation games are on Steam, so I recommend it. Returnal is great. You got to pick it up, Greg.
All right. Well, see, you're adding to my backlog on Hell, and it's already a long backlog. I'm curious, as we go through this, for people that have watched State of Play today, again, in chat, let us know what game are you excited about. The next one was Tides of Annihilation from Eclipse Glow Games. It looked like a wild game. It was a fast-paced third-person shooter. One that you said you like some of the anime stuff. Digimon is coming out with a new game. I did not even know Digimon was still a thing, man. Is Digimon something up your alley, or?
Dude, okay, when I was a kid, definitely. Not anymore nowadays, but I mean, I'll check it out for sure. I would say the games that stood out for me personally would be Ghost of Yote, which is supposed to be a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima.
Mm-hmm.
It looks super interesting. It looks more interesting than Assassin's Creed Shadows, so I'm gonna get that instead for sure.
Come on, man. You gotta give Ubisoft a chance.
Oh, dude, no, sir. I know, not at all, man. They have betrayed my trust in the past.
Oh.
And then the other one would be Metal Gear Solid Delta.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a Metal Gear Solid fan, Greg?
No, I am terrible at sneaking games. I always download Metal Gear Solid. I bought a PlayStation 2 specifically to play Metal Gear Solid 2 and turn and hide in a box. But I am just bad at those games. I want to be good. I'm just bad at them now.
Definitely. We have some people in the chat excited for AC Shadows. Hey, to each their own, right? Not really my thing, but if you guys like it, no problem at all. Awesome, Greg.
They also announced the Sonic game, which I love Sonic, man. Sonic, since the Sonic movies have come out, just had this whole resurgence of Sonic everywhere, and Mario needs some competition. I know they're friends now, but come on, man. Mario needs some competition. You got Astrobot on PlayStation, you got Sonic everywhere, you got Mario on Nintendo, and I guess Xbox needs someone. They need a platformer. But
they do. I mean, they have the rare platformers, right? Like Banjo-Kazooie and all those games.
Nah, those never made it over to Xbox, unfortunately. Maybe in like the old 64 days, like the early ports, but they never built anything new, which is a pity because that is a great IP to be sitting on.
For sure, 100%. Awesome, guys. That sounds good. What about the PSN outage? It seems that there was an outage.
Oh man, for PlayStation players, it was a rough Friday night and Saturday. Out of all days of having an outage, I feel like you get home from work on a Friday night, you order dinner, you maybe grab a drink if that's your thing, and you just want to play video games all night. At least that's what I remember when I was growing up. That's what I wanted to do. I think about 4:00 on Friday, 4:00 Eastern, the PlayStation network just went down. And there was no communication from Sony about the matter. And it's wild because in a world where communication is key, right? And every studio is trying to do whatever they can to inform players what's happening. You have one of the most major players in the console market go down. People couldn't play. Some of the games worked, but anything that had to connect to online connectivity, anything that had anything to do with online was completely out. And there was not a single word from Sony over 24 hours of an outage. And the last time it happened, I think it was 2011 or 2014, where it was down for 26 days. And again, nothing from Sony. Finally, about Saturday night, maybe not Saturday night, Saturday, the network came back online and people had short memories and they were happy again. And Sony credited everyone with 5 days of additional PSN service. Angel, are you a PlayStation player and were you affected?
Gotcha. Good question, Greg. I am not a PlayStation player. I exclusively play on PC or Nintendo consoles. So like when the Switch 2 comes out, I'm gonna get that. I was not affected, but I know some of my friends were. We have some comments in the chat from Carbon Fiber Game Music. I think that's Agustin. Agustin, what's up, man? He said he had no problems with the PSN in Taiwan, but he doesn't play online. So, Agustin, come on, bro.
Play online, man. It's the way of the future. Where are you at?
It is the way of the future for sure. Yeah, Greg. I remember, 2011, something like that. I mean, has Xbox Live ever experienced an outage?
Oh, yeah, quite a few. Xbox is known for going down every once in a while, but they're usually very good with communication, letting people know what is happening, right? Again, communication
Yes.
and stuff like this is essential, whether you be the major console maker or just an indie dev that's building a game and having people jump online, right? You build communities, you build out these entire ecosystems to help provide these updates to players. And if you're not providing
Yes.
those updates, you leave them hanging on a Friday night when all they want to do is game and without knowing what to do. And it's also affected people that hooked up their Sony accounts to their computers. So if you were trying to log in to play Spider-Man 2 through the PSN network, which they tried to force on people back when I forgot what game came out, and they tried to force it. It may have been Ghost of Tunisia.
Ghost of Tsushima,
Yeah,
yes.
when it came out, they tried to force everyone into the PSN network, and that would have affected them as well. So it kind of shows that maybe it was best that not to let that be controlled by a single person, a single point of failure.
100%. Greg, you are cooking, my friend. Communication, I mean, as a person who does marketing, communication is key. You are cooking, my friend. Yeah, hopefully, at least, they gave people something, that's understandable. But Sony, please improve your communications for next time.
And Lancelot plays is saying it, right? He's never seen so many memes. It's because people couldn't play. What else are they going to do with their time? They're just going to make memes to just clown on PlayStation because that's all they got going for them.
Hey, man. Yeah. I mean, at least we have humor to cope with it, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, who are we talking to tonight, Angel?
All right. So, tonight we are talking to two very special people. We are talking to Mondae from Leap of Faith Studios. That would be your guest. And then the person that I'm interviewing is Jennifer from Filament Games, which you have interviewed previously in the Player Driven podcast. We are very excited for that. But before we go into the interview, guys, we have a poll. We have a very interesting poll. Let me share it with you guys. So, here. According to a Rockstar Games leak, the total budget for GTA 6 will be roughly $2 billion. This is 10 times more than GTA 5's and 4 times more than Red Dead Redemption 2, which I believe currently is the most expensive game ever made, or Call of Duty, either one of those, right? Game analysts suggest that due to the rising cost of game development, inflation, and all these things that are affecting the marketplace, they suggest that games will likely cost $80 to $100 in order for market growth to occur. My question for you guys is the following. Would you pay $80 to $100 for a video game? Yes or no? Like Backstreet Boys would say, tell me why. All right.
I want to call out a fun point here on Hell, something that maybe you're not familiar with.
Yes.
Back in the day, there was the Sega Genesis. It was probably before your time. Do you know how much money a Sega Genesis game cost?
I had no idea, Greg.
A Sega Genesis game back in 1993 cost $49.99. Now, is
And
that
adjusted for inflation, how much is that?
I don't know. I'm not doing that math right now. What kind of question is that? Who asks that? But knowing that, what are we? 22 years later, games have went up like 10 to 15 bucks, and yeah, that's a good amount of money. Is it that crazy?
Yeah, that is a very good question. That's very reasonable. Producer, if you can please see the poll one more time. I want to see what people are saying. Let's see that poll one more time. All right, Greg, 3 people voted. 1 person said yes, 2 people said no. All right, let us see why. Okay, so Carbon Fiber Games Music, he said yes, it depends on the game.
I think that's
Interesting.
fair. And I think Lancelot Plays brings a great point, right? Not just updates included, right? Because we know GTA is going to have some sort of new shark coin involved as well, right? So like they're going to make a lot of money off that. So like I feel like they could probably give the game away for cheaper and make it all back up on the back end, right? So I don't know.
Exactly.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. In my humble opinion, I think it, like Agustin said, it really depends on the game. Like, for example, I'm a huge Persona fan. So if like Persona 6 is $80, I'm gonna get it no matter what. But if it's a game that I'm not really interested in, obviously not. Greg, would you pay $80 to $100 for a video game?
Odds are no, but GTA is GTA, If
It
Red Dead
is.
Redemption 3 came out at the same like there's a few studios that you kind of trust, all right? And if they're gonna charge you $80, they're gonna charge you and it's a lot of money. Like I once spoke to Thaddeus Sasser. He's the game director for Marvel Rivals,
Shout
and
outs
he
to
told
that.
me he looks at games as I think he said $1 an hour. So if he can get 60 hours out of a game, he's happy to spend 60 hours. I can tell you GTA is probably going to get a couple hundred hours out of me. So in my mind, I think it's a fair price, but I don't think Rockstar would actually do that. I do think the how do I say this? I think the demographic wouldn't pay a lot of money up front, but I think they would continuously spend money once they have the game. It's a lot easier to say I'm going to spend $5 for shark coins than it is to say I'm going to buy $100 game. So I think
Yep.
it's all a mindset, right? And what they do. And it's going to be very interesting to see how it turns out.
Dude, you're so right. Especially my nephews and myself included, we're very big fans of Fortnite. And yeah, it's a free to play game, but all the V-Bucks those guys get, man, Fortnite's making a fortune out of my nephews. So
And it's free, right?
free. There you go. Awesome, Greg. Let's check the comments real quick. We have a comment from Evan Spine 8. He said, or this person said, the only games I'd ever pay $100 would be The Last of Us title or GTA 6. Any other game? No, no, no. Space Mollusk said, I remember when my parents would let me buy Nintendo 64 game for being the angel that I am. Prices were like $59.99. That's way before my time. Yep, 100%. All right. Greg, I think that would be it for our poll. Should we go to our first interview?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll
Let's
talk
do
to
it.
you again soon.
Before the withering, the leaves danced in endless summers. Life flourished in every valley, every grove. Now, plague and corruption twist where gardens once bloomed. This world remembers what we took for granted. In duality, we find a different kind of strength.
I am here with Mondae Atughonu, one of the co-founders of Leap of Faith Studios. Mondae, welcome to the lab. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
You have such a cool background, and I'm envious. I always get people say, "Oh, I like your signs," and I appreciate that. But look at you. You got like 16, 18, probably more Xbox controllers. You got every VR headset I've ever seen behind you. You got the whole Power Rangers thing assembled behind you. It's awesome.
No, I appreciate it. It's 32 controllers. It's a mix of Xbox and PlayStation. It's a lot. They go all the way up the wall, but we don't have to get into all that. I appreciate it. This is my shrine to technology. And then of course, Power Rangers, just I'm a Tommy Oliver fan. My heart breaks to know that The actor is gone, but
Rest in
yeah,
peace. Pour a little of your drink out for
yeah,
Tommy.
but yeah,
My question,
no,
with all this stuff behind you, do you even have space to play the VR? Or is it all just kind of for show?
oh no, it's definitely not for show. I actually, the other side of my desk is, so the basement in our house is my area, and so I have like my whole like area to play VR there. And so I definitely get my like Beat Saber in, and there's a few other games that I always go back to. I love the VR boxing games. I don't know why. They're like typically the simplest ones, but I love boxing in VR.
Yeah, man, it's a good way to work out a sweat, and really get your heart pumping there.
Absolutely.
So, Monday from Leap of Faith Studios. Before you went to Leap of Faith, you worked at Bungie and
Mhm.
you decided, hey, you know what? It's time to start my own studio. Was there like a mental moment where it just clicked and you're like, all right, it's my time. I'm going to go shoot my shot? Like, what made that happen?
I mean, honestly, what made it happen was me and our co-founder for Leap of Faith, Robert Byer. We had already been kind of exploring making our own game, which is Project Haven, our crafting survival game. And as we were going through the learning process of, okay, let's learn how to make an inventory system and let's learn how to make a building system, this game really started to form and shape. And Robert brought together this really cool backstory on this world. And so when everything happened and we decided to really set out on our own with Leap of Faith, we were like, really, we were already so deep into, our growing, relationship with this game and this IP that we are like, of course, we're not just going to let it die. Like, we want to keep doing it and we want to do it for ourselves. And this could be definitely be a title that you could set a studio up on because there's so much in the story of the world and how we're changing the mechanics of the crafting survival genre that, this game might be the base game to all the other expansions. And thinking through that, we're like, yo, this might have something, and it's just been exciting. But it really came from, taking that leap, really believing in ourselves, having, a little bit of faith in ourselves and taking the chance and taking the risk.
I love it. And you mentioned Haven, you mentioned Coven, right? And something you talked about earlier to me was that Haven is a product. That's the product that Leap of Faith is working on right now. Coven is a project. How do you separate those two mentally? What does that mean to you? And how do you work on both of those projects?
Yeah. So I think I might not have mentioned it clearly, but so Coven is my personal project. So really how I define those two is I look at Coven as a project because I'm still very like shooting at the hips. Like Coven is the wild, wild west. Anything I dream of, I put in the game. For anyone who's played it, they've seen some really crazy characters that exist in that game, some really crazy, worlds. And, every playtest, I'm like, oh yeah, there's new enchantment cards and there's new this and there's new that. And there's no validation or rhyme or reason. It's truly just me having fun with that platform. Really me and my daughter, she gave me the idea for the last two characters that went into the game. So it's truly like anything we dream of, we put in that. But it's a project. We can have fun. With Project Haven, that is our studio's product. So anything we do, we really need to make sure it's validating. Is it fun? Is it doing something that the players are asking for? Is it leading them towards the end goal? We can still be creative and have fun and do all those things, but it's something that a lot of people get stuck on when they're making a project. It's very near and dear to their heart, and so you're making it for yourself. It's an extension of who you are, but a product needs to be an extension of you that caters and kind of appeals to a broader audience. So not everything that you dream of can be in this game because that might not appeal to everyone. And when you start saying, we were just talking about GTA, when you start wanting people to pay you $100 for the game, you really have to make sure it's something that the masses would want to pay $100 for, not just you and your best friend.
I, you said a lot there. That's awesome. I really wanted. Well, I meant good stuff, right? Not just a lot. You
Oh,
said a lot, but
okay.
good stuff. But one thing I really loved, and one of my mentors, Ed Hartman, once told me that no one wants to call their baby or their product ugly. And the reason I say that is, you
Mhm.
have this dream for a game and you want to build a game. And some people live in a vacuum and they say, I'm going to build this game because this is what I want. But it may not be what other players want to play. And it's good to just get a check or a pulse from the community to say, hey, is this something fun, right? Like, it's great if you want to play your game, and there's a great chance that if you want to play your game, others will want to play your game. but it's
Yes.
super important to ask other people, like, am I heading in the right direction? Is there something that I may want to add to this or not add to this? And I think that's a great thing. And the other thing that I really love is that with Coven, you're getting feedback from your daughter. And I think that it's the coolest thing in the world. I mean, I have to imagine she's probably the toughest playtester you'll ever have in any game you ever make. So does
Oh
she
my
ever
gosh,
give you
yeah.
feedback on stuff? Does she watch you play the game? Does she play the game?
Oh, all the time. And to elaborate on your point, so for Coven, right now I do like a monthly dev play test, and it's very loose. It's like, hey, the 12 people who are in my server, let's get in and let's play the game. My daughter is always at the top of the leaderboard, or like my friend Molly. There's like a whole like rivalry going on between my friend Kareem and then actually the alchemist Rick, who's been part of the group for a while. They have like this rivalry going. Um, but that feedback again is very loose. Like we're having fun. They're still giving me points and bugs and things like that. But when we play test Haven, it's a very different approach. We need to make sure we're play testing with the demographic group that's going to play the game. So feedback on a crafting survival game from a group of people who play Super Smash Brothers probably isn't going to be valid feedback that's going to help us move this product forward. So when we get feedback on that game, we're looking for people who either are familiar with this genre or play this genre and can really help us create actionable items based off of that feedback. So it really goes down to like, even in the feedback mindset, like, yes, you want to get the game out there, you want people playing it, all the points you made, but like, as you're getting feedback back for your product, how are you going to action on that? And what does it mean to the product that you're trying to create versus, with with Coven, like somebody could tell me like, hey, I wish the electricity spell did double damage. And I would just go into Unity and make that happen and say like, hey, is this what you wanted? They'd be like, yeah, it's a one-hit kill now. And I'm like, cool, let's go.
So I want to focus on Haven, but my last thing on Coven is I know we're trying to work with you and Rick to do a live stream of one of the games. I would love to see Rick get his butt kicked by your daughter in Coven if we're able to do that. That would just be perfect. But going back to the bigger picture here, what's more important here is, you've made this big jump. Bungie's an awesome studio. They've made Halo, they've made they're making Marathon, they made Destiny, right? And you decide, you
Mhm.
know what, I'm going to just shoot my shot. Leap of faith comes into the picture. As you've gone through this process, have you encountered something that you wish you knew something ahead of the time? Like, hey, I didn't really think about this. Maybe it's marketing, maybe it's something else. Like, did you think that you knew everything? Then all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, I don't know this.
Ooh, so we definitely didn't go from a place of we know everything. One of the things that we did very like almost immediately, like me and Robert decided we wanted to make Leap of Faith, and the next thing we did was we need advisors to help fill all the things that we know we don't know. So we have a group of 8 advisors that help us on everything from like engineering to marketing. But really, the thing that has been eye-opening to me is almost getting like it's going to sound weird, but getting comfortable putting big numbers in your mouth because from a business mindset, $10 million is not that much for a business when you're thinking about headcount and FTEs and legal and all of these things. And so going into like VC and publisher conversations and really having to be very confident and very like straightforward when they're asking like how much does it cost to make this game and being like it's going to cost us $15 million, and like knowing that that's a reasonable number for them and it needs to feel confident and comfortable coming out of your mouth. It took a while. I had my Shark Tank moment when we were talking to one of the first people to give us like an opportunity to talk with them when they were asking like, okay, run us through your pitch deck, what makes your game different and all these things. And it really is like that elevator pitch, that 30 seconds of attention that you have. And like all of that it just took a while, and it's one of those things where until you do it, it's not something that's comfortable. Even if you practice in front of the mirror for hours and hours, it's something about standing across from someone that literally could have a check in their back pocket that could make all your hopes and dreams come true, but you have to convince them that you deserve the check that they want to give you.
Have you put thought into what skill sets that maybe you don't love? Maybe business isn't your thing. Like if you're going to bring on someone else onto the team, is it going to be someone that's an engineer, or is it going to be someone that's more of a business side?
Oh, it's an artist, not even an engineer. So I come from operations management. I don't have an MBA, but I know enough about business to be dangerous, in my opinion. And again, we have like advisors to help fill those gaps. Robert has a really lengthy experience in operations as well, but we are not artists. Like Robert can do some amazing things with like shaders and some models, but having an artist that can help bring our art direction to life is definitely the gap that we probably, and going back to your question, like I wish we would have done that like as step three, like form the studio, get advisors, find an artist or find a few artists. Because when you look at some of these games, the I think it's the last Berserker Kazan or the first Berserker Kazan that's coming out. It has a very unique art style that I love because it's a mix of cell shading and non-cell shading, but that's an artist doing that. And like I can look at that and I can try to find asset packs that kind of like manipulate it, but it's different from having someone in-house that knows how to do that and can do it for you. So yeah, if you know any artists, please send them our way because we are open to conversations.
When you think about that first pitch, that first Shark Tank moment, and you think about what you would do differently, is it still maybe having an artist to help create some concept art for the deck? Is there something else that you would go back and say, if I could do this again, I would do this one thing different?
It would be the concept arts, but from a lot of the conversations, one of the things that's come up that's kind of like a common thread is the VC or the publisher, whoever you're talking to the game about, almost needs to feel transported into that world. They need to be able to like see it and hear it. And like even one person said, like, I want to be able to like almost taste it. Like if you say that it's by the ocean side, I want to like taste the sea salt in the air and all these things. And that comes from having like a really strong like visual experience, or even if you know that there's going to be like certain music and stuff, like having that audio experience built in. Because right now, like me and Robert are very technical. So we love programming. We spend a lot of times with like systems and mechanisms for like this world that we're creating. And that's great. But when you get into how does this game make players feel and why do they want to go into it for hours and hours, very few players are like, oh, I play Division 2 because I love the loot pool system and I love how loot drops work and the DPS. Like you have some players that love that, but most of the time, even for Diablo 4, they're like, I love the world, I love the characters, I love the narrative, the story, the feelings I get when I can escape into these worlds. So I would definitely invest more in creating a pitch deck for the game and for the studio that created that sense of escapism that they could, escape into as we were giving them our elevator pitch.
I Part of me knew Monday was going to mention the Division 2. I know that's the game that got
Like
him into this whole
that's
industry. That
the
really
game.
was that pushing point. But before, not even on that, I keep staring behind you and I see the three lenses of the Quest 3, and I'm curious. You
Oh yeah.
started off kind of this whole journey in VR, and forget the whole development side, the creation side of it, right? What
Mhm.
was the first experience in VR that you had that truly blew your mind?
It was probably for anyone who knows about this, they'll probably roll their eyes, but the one that blew my mind the most was actually it's a simple VR experience called the plank, where you put on the headset and it was just a wooden plank over like the balcony of a skyscraper. And I used to watch people on YouTube and everything like be on their hands and knees in VR, like freaking out. And I was like watching it and I was like, there's no way that this, silly headset can make people think that they're, hundreds of feet above ground. And so the first time I ever put on a VR headset was at an arcade and they had it and had the plank there. And I was like, let me try it. And so the guy was like, put on the headset, and literally you're walking on like a really thin gymnastics pad that's like 3 inches off the ground. But I put on the headset, and as soon as I did that and opened my eyes, I was on my hands and knees. I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Like, I'm so high up. I could hear my wife's voice behind me saying, like, Monday, get up, you're fine. And I was like, no, like, I don't know what's happening, but my brain is telling me if you sway, you will die. So I'm on my hands and knees. And, I took off the headset and I had moved like 3 centimeters. And I was like, yeah, I need every version of this. I need to know how people do this. I need to make these experiences. So yeah, I have like all the headsets. That's like a VR haptic vest there. I have VR haptic gloves. I have it all. I am addicted to that immersion. Again, going back to that sense of escapism, like video games, traditional video games, you can escape by like letting your mind drift into these worlds and the narratives. But in VR, like everything is telling you that you're there. And especially with like the haptic stuff, like when you can feel yourself getting shot or feel yourself lifting something up with the gloves, I'm like, you're there. Like there is no other form of escapism. And I love every second of it.
I think that's such a great answer. I could see in the back room, Angel looked like he was almost about to cry on that answer, just how funny it was. For those of you that are listening on our chat, right? Have you had that VR experience that really blew your mind? I think as simple as mine is, it was Beat Saber, just the fluid movements,
Yes.
the music, the beats. Like, not only that, like you work up a sweat. And I just think, I thought to myself, it would be the greatest workout tool. And then I realized I don't want to wear a giant mask
Yeah.
while working out. But it just was such a great experience and so much fun to play.
Absolutely.
I want to talk Bungie. I know you worked on Marathon and you got to see it evolve over time, which is awesome because not many people can say that. And you were there for Destiny and everything. And I'm curious, as the Xbox fan of the group, right? Is there any Halo DNA still left at Bungie? It seems like based on the game's look and feel,
Oof.
it still exists. But like, did you have a sense of it?
I think people who were there long enough, who were there for the Halo days, kind of like bring that same like feelings and things there. And there's like remnants, maybe not in the code, maybe not in the game, but like you hear people saying like, "Oh, remember back when," and this and this, and like there's no hate around like Halo and Master Chief. Like it's not like the studio doesn't talk about him. But I think and this is me completely like taking a step away from it a little bit, but like the sense of exploration and creativity that created Halo when a game like that didn't exist before, that 100% still exists at Bungie. Destiny has been around for 10 plus years, and I know some people have different terms of success, but it's existed. Like in a world where a lot of other games cease to exist in months, weeks, days, sometimes, Destiny is still here. They're still putting out content. Heresy is out. And from what I can see, that there's a good group of people that really love playing it. Marathon is still out there. I can't wait to hear more about it. So those creatives and that community that was able to create Halo and create this void of like, this is what we want a game and a community to be based off of 200% lives. And so I think that's the Halo legacy within Bungie, the studio now.
Awesome. I just kind of looking at our chat. Sorry for going back to the topic, but what are some of those VR games that blew people's mind? We have Half-Life Half-Life Alex, which I
Oh,
need to
yes.
play, but I don't like scary game. I feel like I just say I don't like every type of game, and that's not true. But Half-Life Alex seems really, really creepy, especially being VR. I see The Climb, which is great. Thanks,
Time
Space
is great.
Malice. I see K Griff Arts, like Tilt Brush, great stuff.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
Arkham Shadows, Straw Hat Angel. I've heard
Oh,
great things about Arkham Shadows.
Arkham Shadows was great. I don't know how they were able to translate the Arkham game into VR that successfully. There is some witchcraft and magic going on because everything that I know about developing for VR says that that game shouldn't work, but they pulled it off and it is amazing. Like it's so good.
They should dedicate some of that time back to making a real Arkham game on the system again rather than a VR experience.
Hey, who knows? It could be coming.
It could be. I mean, WB is a mess right now. They need that Hail Mary by putting it out there. I got one last question for you today, Monday, and it's a basic one. What's on the horizon for Leap of Faith? What are you looking for? Where can we find you as players, and what can we do to help you?
Yeah, so what's next? Our biggest milestone to date, we are exhibiting at GDC. So we're really excited to be there. With that, we're going to be bringing our Project Haven GDC build, fingers crossed, but we are right around the corner of having our multiplayer completely working. So we're going to be able to get up to 12 people in, playing the game, trying to survive. It's going to be a true, if you played like Don't Starve Together, Ark, Icarus, like that experience of playing together and existing in this world is what we're bringing to GDC. And it's continual. So players can come, they can play the game. And even once they leave the booth, we're hoping that that's the build that we also have on Steam so people can really start engaging with this game that we're creating. Um, you can get in contact with us. Our website has the link to the Steam demo for Project Haven. It also has our contact us page. If you're an artist watching this, please reach out. We're looking at ArtStation portfolios or resumes. We really are looking for artists very heavily. Um, and yeah, really from the community, we're not looking for playtesters quite yet. We still have some things to do with our multiplayer servers. But once those are up and running, I'm definitely going to be reaching out to, the alchemists in the lab to definitely jump in, give us that true focus feedback with those actionable events and, just fall in love with the world that Robert and I and the rest of the Leap of Faith team has really grown to love ourselves.
I love it. We will link everything in the lab show notes. As long as we could all team up and beat up on Rick, it will 100% be there as well. But I love
Yes,
it, man. Monday, I love always talking to you. I love hearing your story. I love the excitement you have and the true passion. And I thank you so much for joining us today.
absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Angel, welcome back. You recover from that. First of all, I think he's going to sing some Miley Cyrus "Climb" for us, but you recover from that segment. I can't hear you, man. Yeah, Angel's talking, but he's muted, so we're gonna have
Sorry,
some
guys. My
lip
bad. My
syncing
bad.
here.
I was saying I was laughing my ass off when I was hearing Monday's story about the plank. I mean, it's so immersive, right? I mean, yeah, it's not real, but it tricks your brain. Like you can, like it tricks the depth. You know, like you can
Yeah,
really
man.
feel you're up there, dude. It's scary. It's
Yeah,
scary.
it's something I should have asked is like, I have a Quest 2. Are the graphics in the Quest 3 that much better? Like, are we gonna get to a point where parity? And he's nodding over there. So the answer is yes, it's that much better. Now my wife's gonna yell at me because I'm gonna want to buy a Quest 3 and use it 3 times.
Dude, I have the 3S. It's pretty good, and it's like $300. It's pretty good.
I think we are going to check the poll one last time.
All right, let's see how it goes. Oh, 1, 2. Oh, still the same. All
Still the
right, all
same.
right,
Good,
all right.
good thing we
Greg,
jumped back to it here. That's good.
yeah, Greg, I was gonna say I really enjoyed your interview with Monday. It was really good, and Monday was one of the first guests that I had in Flama. And dude, I have seen Monday's growth from just like leaving Bungie and starting his business, and now he's like a CEO doing his thing. Dude is like, dude, he's killing it, and now going to GDC and doing all those things. Dude, chat, can I please get a W for Monday? Just give us a W, guys. Give us a W.
Not only
Monday did
that,
such a good job. We
as you're
need that W.
talking, Monday and I and Augustine, we're all going to be at GDC. So we are going to grab a drink or two or something or hang out. So if anyone in chat is going to GDC, be sure to hit us up as well. Let's get a little lab get together, grab a little lab drink, and all meet up and say hi.
Yes, sir. I mean, there's a chance I'm a go. So if I'm there,
It's not a
dude.
chance it's happening. Even if you walk
Oh,
the 8
oh,
hours.
oh, oh. All right, all right. Okay, Greg. I hear you, man. I hear you. Awesome, guys. Now let's go to Cassandra's section, Lab News with Cassandra. Cassandra?
Right. Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Cassandra. Welcome back to this week's What's Going On Around the World, and I'm bringing you the latest game events and then the community updates. Well, first of all, let's look at Europe. So first we have UK, right? So we have a Yorkshire Game Festival that has been kicked off on this Monday, and it's a 2-week event and will go all the way to February 23rd. And this event hosting National Science and Media Museum in Bradfield, England. And this event is featuring game talks like from industry experts, games showcase, and game nights. And then for all the game developers or industry expert, if you go on their website, there's actually an application form that you can submit to reserve a spot to showcase your game, or if you want to reserve your little talk. And for all the gamers and for the people who want to go to this exhibit, this event is free. You just need to reserve your time slot and then reserve a ticket. And yeah, remember this event is going on 2 weeks. Don't forget to check it out. Well, next we have Denmark. So Copenhagen Gaming Week is happening tomorrow till Saturday this week. Well, it is a major gaming and esport event holding Copenhagen, Denmark. When I say major, it's it's major. So we'll see a rich agenda all the way from like live esports tournament, or you will see some live shows from the game industry YouTubers and content creators. And also there are developer showcase or just like the major company showcase. So and then all the games are featuring here is like from all the genres, for example, board games, esports game, or interactive games. So you go there, you will probably go into different gaming booths to experience, different different type of game, and then like you can see the latest technology and all that. And then also another thing is major company like AMD, Nintendo, Lenovo will also be in this gaming week. Will showcase their latest hardware and technology. So and they will also have a booth in there. So if I'm there, I'm just going to Nintendo, be like, when is Switch 2? Yeah, and will it have an OLED screen? That would be my question. So yeah, so definitely some event to watch out for. All right, so next let's go to Middle East. So we have a WN conference in Abu Dhabi. It happens yesterday and it will also happening today, 2-day event. The audience is a little bit different. This is a high-level deal-making event, which means will be more about, like talent management, game publishing investment. So as you guys know, that Middle East recently has become a really like fast-growing like market. Specifically, Middle East have the government funding support and private sector investing, and also the location itself, because it's in center of the central time zone, and also this the travel visa restriction is less, especially for like Abu Dhabi. It's easy for foreigners to travel, so it starts becoming a gaming hub for like all this like business for the gaming industry. So definitely this is a event that that's going on this week in Middle East that people should watch out for. All right, so back to the US, we have DICE Summit. I believe like everybody's watching, and it already kicked off yesterday, and it will go all the way to tomorrow night. And this year's theme is Built to Last. I guess like you guys can tell from the theme title, it really are the top video game executive come together to discuss, how do we build, how do we like innovate for longevity and, like create with conscious, and then how do we build this game industry with sustainability, right? So especially nowadays with like new technology, with new techniques like AI coming in, it feels like every day we're embracing some technology that's new, but in our history, that one thing remains unchanged is change, right? So how do we, as a game industry, how do we incorporate this technology at the same time, like will this technology interrupt like the way we work together? So that's a really interesting topic I think everybody's talking about. So definitely I'm personally interested to listen to how the game industry executive react to the recent changes. Well, so then also for the gamers, also tomorrow night, the last day of DICE Summit, will be our 28th annual DICE Awards. It happens tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Pacific time, which is pretty late for for our East Coast folks, 11. But I just also know lots of gamers are night owls like me, so I'll probably stay up for it. Especially like, or if they openly, if they will like reveal the awards like one by one. I hope I can make all the way to Game of the Year. This year the nominees are Astrobot, Black Miss Wukong, Helldivers 2, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and Bellatrix. So will Astrobot win again in DICE Award? So who knows? We will see tomorrow. All right, last but not least, I want to highlight a ongoing online event called Game Development. Well, it is a global open competition for game developers. So like it has already been, this competition has been ongoing for 13 years, and there are already 47,000 games competing. And then it have different categories. where you have like best indie game, best studio game, best hobby game, best student game, and then it have like awards prizes provided by Discord, Xsola, Houdini. So definitely as a game developer, this is a great place to submit your game. And then more importantly, that when I go on the website, I've seen so many games like indie game and new games that are unreleased yet. So if you're a gamer, sometimes you're bored, you'd be like, what's coming up next? Like I want to check it out. Definitely just browse on their website. You will see like, oh, there's so many interesting things are in making. So yeah, so for gamer and developer, GDWC, Game Development World Championship, is something you should pay attention to as well. All right, that's it for my week. Well, I'll stay tuned and keep gaming.
All right, Cassandra.
Fun
All
fact, Angel, I am a judge for the GDWC this year, and I've been playing all these different games now. And you know what? Playing a lot of games is really hard.
Really?
Like,
Oh, I didn't
yeah.
know that. Okay. Any
Okay,
interesting
like-
games that you've played?
I don't really want to say the names of them yet. I feel like not that anyone's going to contact me, but I feel like I got to keep the games I play close to my chest here. But there's a lot of great games. It's wild. Again, in the world of indie, like being able to play these games are fantastic, and there's great prizes that go along with them. And yeah, I can't stress enough. Playing a lot of games like that is hard and time consuming.
I can imagine, Greg. Yeah, and Cassandra, thank you so much for delivering that awesome information. For the DICE Awards, for the Game of the Year, there's multiple nominees. We have Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Helldivers 2, and Indiana Jones. Greg, any favorite for you?
And it's not going to win, but Balatro is the game of the year. Easily. It came out of nowhere. It's one dude. Like, come on, man.
Really? Just one dude? One developer?
Local thunk. That's it.
Dude,
Now
such
you
a
change your
W,
answer. I
dude.
take back that Black Myth Wukong. What are you thinking?
Dude, all right. Before I answer, guys, please let us know in the comments. Out of all those games, which is your favorite? Let us know. We have Black Myth Wukong by Sword Brother Sorios. We have Indie, Space Mollux's game. That's the one she likes. Anything else, guys? Any favorites? While we wait, Greg, I would say for me personally, I would say Black Myth Wukong. It's right up my alley in terms of action. Like I like games that are extremely hard. Pause. They're just my thing, dude.
Yeah, your Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is enough to say you like impossible games. You're just gonna double down on that, huh?
Dude, double down. And when I play those games, dude, I do like the most difficult difficulty. That's what I do, man. Black Myth Wukong, not only because the art style, the level design, the combat design is very fun, because what it represents. I feel like usually we have this idea of, oh, games are made either in America or in Japan or France. But now China is like, nah, we make cool games too. And I really love that. I love seeing like emerging markets like that. And I would love to see other countries step up their game. So W Black Myth Wukong, in my personal opinion.
I would also just add a separate note. I forgot the name of the conference you said in the Middle East, but I've worked with a number of studios out of Saudi Arabia and different places in the Middle East, and some of them are Sandsoft and Steer. They're great studios with great people from different studios around the world. They're building up something great over there, and I think you're going to see some amazing games in the future come out from the Middle East. It's fun. We did a big talk with Ben Koalo at Gamescom to talk about where games come from, and it was Ben from the Midwest, and we had someone from Sandstuff from the Middle East, and they were just both talking about how the Midwest has lots of talent but not that much money, and the Middle East has a lot of money and then not that much talent. And it's fascinating to see how these two places operate and how they can work together to build something together.
Dude, I love it. I love this new age of having people from a diverse background building games, bringing different ideas. The whole idea, like, games are not monopolized anymore. Anyone can make a game. That's a complete W, in my opinion.
Definitely.
We have some comments in the chat. Sword Brother Sorius, he says, or this person says, I'm biased with loving Journey to the West. Good story. But regardless, the devs really they did a very good job. They put love, care, and thought and passion into the source material. 100%. Awesome, guys. Before we go to our next interview, I have a poll that I want to ask you. So here is the poll, guys. This question is a little bit controversial, but I think controversial questions are fun. They bring the flair, right? The question is the following, guys. Are game reviews important when considering the purchase of a game? Yes? No? Tell us why. Is that 7 in IGN, at an IGN review, important for you when you buy a game? Let us know.
Specifically IGN, is that what we're going with? Is an IGN review important, or a Rick review?
It can be anything, dude. I'm just saying IGN because that's the meme, right? Everyone gets a 7.
Yeah.
Awesome. We have a couple of yeses. All right. What else? All right. While we wait for the answers, Greg, let me ask you, are game reviews important for you before purchasing a game?
Game reviews are important to me because, especially in the age where games are being released before they're truly complete. Again, if I'm going to spend $60 today or maybe $80 tomorrow on GTA, I'd like to know the game's in a working state. I don't mind if it's a work in progress. Redfall is a great example. I was hyped about Redfall. One of my favorite games of all time is Prey. And I was like, nice, another Arcane game. It's going to be great. And I was ready to go. And then I checked the review and you see it's got like a 4. And you're just like, ooh, maybe I need to take a minute and think about this. So, yeah, they are important.
Gotcha. 100%. For me personally, so I would say yes and no, in the sense it depends who makes a review. But something that, so before, when I was like in high school or whatever, I used to watch IGN reviews all the time, and I was like, oh, if IGN says this game is a 9, I should like it. And then I played those games and no, not really my thing. Then Alien Isolation came out, and they gave Alien Isolation a 5.9, I believe, out of 10. And I'm like, dude, what the heck? But then I bought Alien Isolation when it came out, dude. $60. I got it. And I'm like, this is one of the best games I've ever played. So I say take reviews with a grain of salt, right? You never know. Let's read the comments one more time.
If you are voting, please put > vote and then yes or no. Twitch is a fickle beast.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Greg.
Let's see if we can pass last poll with 3 votes. But it seems like it can go yes either way.
Yes. And Greg, we have another comment from Sword Brother Sorius. IGN gave Dragon Age the Veilguard 9 out of 10, while giving Black Myth Wukong 8 out of 10. Meditate on that.
So some people like young adult fiction when it comes to their gameplay. Who knows? And the thing is, no defense of IGN here, right? But like, everyone has different taste, right? At the end of the day, and IGN should know this and put someone that likes the game to play that game, right? But like, 2 flavors of ice cream are going to be perceived differently from everyone. Video games are going to be perceived differently from everyone. So, still play what you like. Just proceed with caution.
100%. Curiosity will always win. Space Moloch says, I feel the same way about a movie. I need to see it myself, regardless of what other people think. 100%. Make your own judgments, right? All right. Awesome. Thank you, guys. That was a very cool poll. Thank you for participating. Let us go to our second interview. But before that, we are going to show you a video of... All right, guys, we have our second guest here. We have Jennifer from Filament Games. Jennifer, welcome to the lab. Jen, can you hear me? Yeah, Jennifer, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Awesome. We had a little hiccup. It's all good. We have Jennifer from Filament Games. Jennifer, welcome to the lab.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
My pleasure, definitely. So, Jennifer, I wanted to ask you in Filament Games, there is on your website, there's a very interesting tagline. And the tagline is basically that you guys create playful experiences that can improve people's lives. Tell me
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. I mean, that's our mission statement actually for our company is that we make games that improve people's lives. So, yeah, I think we think of ourselves like a video game studio like everyone else. I think we want people to have a great time. We make immersive experiences. We think about the narrative, the characters, the action, the gameplay. But we hold ourselves to being accountable to one more thing, which is we judge our success of the game if the player has transformed by playing the game. So they either learn something they didn't know before and now they know it, or they feel activated to go take action in their community, or they've learned a new skill, or they now know how to have better, healthier behaviors. So, yeah, we're here to change the world with video games.
Change the world with video games. I love that. I can definitely resonate with that mission statement. Jennifer, I want to piggyback on Monday's comment earlier. He was talking about VR and video games as being escapism, basically. And I think that would be like a very like the I would just like the main opinion of video games. Video games are escapism, something that you play after you come home from work to like unwind or have fun with your friends. It's more of like a leisure activity. But your games are sort of like anti-escapism games.
You could say
Um,
that. We like to think the people still have a good time playing them, but yeah, our purpose is really clear, which is we use video games as a tool to make things happen in the real world. Like we do care about the experience that you have in the game while you're playing it, but like the most important thing is that people come away with something different and that they can apply what they've learned in the real world.
I love it, definitely. So you make it fun, but you also make it something that they can take home with. It's like knowledge or a skill or something.
And that's the holy grail of what we do. When we get it right, that's definitely we're hitting on all cylinders.
Beautiful. So I know you have made educational games about like media literacy, civics, games about robotics. I also heard you make like a MRI game.
Yeah, that was a really cool project we were able to do with a startup from the Midwest. They were a medical equipment company looking at improving the MRI experience for children. One of the hardest things for children is to lie still during an MRI, and a lot of these children with really complicated conditions, sometimes their appointment can be over an hour of images. And if you've ever gotten an MRI, these rooms are really sterile. It's full of huge medical equipment. You're kind of confined, and then you're told not to move. I don't know about you, but as soon as someone tells me not to do something, it's all I want to do. So they were looking at, well, how can we make the experience more positive for the pediatric patient and at the same time make it more efficient and reduce healthcare costs? Well, their first trials were with just an animated video, and what they did is they mount a screen in the site of the MRI patient, kind of attached to the MRI machine, and they would play a video, and then that's connected to the sensor data. And what would happen is the kid would be able to watch the video, but then if they moved even slightly, the video would like fade. So then they knew, oh, if I want to keep watching the video, I have to stay still. And they saw really great results just with the video. So then their next idea was like, well, what happens if we made a game and, you could play this game, and the more you stay still, the more the game that would move forward. So that's exactly what we did. We ended up making 2 games for them. One was like an enchanted forest. Then the more you laid still, the more like different magical things would happen in the forest. And the other one was kind of a dark, luminous cave. So that felt more like you were moving through a cave, and then as soon if you moved even a little, like the motion would stop. And we would always build in things like checkpoints, and there's always something in the distance teasing you to want to keep going. So yeah, there's a first time for everything, and that was definitely the first time that we designed a video game that could be controlled with your body laying still.
That is amazing. I don't think I've ever heard of something like that. Uh, I would love to know more about. I know you've made the trailer that we showed before, Some Assembly Required. It's a VR game and it teaches people about robotics. And in our previous conversation, you said that it helped people from schools that didn't really have the funding to like have a robotics class and stuff like that. How did that game help those schools?
Yeah, well, that was the whole premise when we approached the National Science Foundation and we put in a grant with, first talking about the problem, which is robotics traditionally has been, an after school activity for most schools, or an activity that you partake in, um, that really is always attracted to kind of richer schools, rich school districts. And it's the kind of thing that gets passed on and kind of has stayed with kind of um, you know, more wealthy students, usually Caucasian, and usually where, there are multiple generations. It's like the dad or the mom is coaching the robotics team because they did it when they were kids. So really to break that cycle, there were a couple big problems about traditional robotics. Like first all, the equipment and the pieces of parts are expensive. There's a limited number of them and they get lost and broken and need repair. So there's the whole just part of a physical kit is, a fixed asset. I think the second thing that's really hard for a lot of these robotics teams is for a student to learn robotics, you have to have an adult in the room that understands robotics. And we're trying to break kind of this generational thing of like, well, what happens if you're a school that your physics teacher or your computer science teacher never did robotics because they came from a different kind of background. And then suddenly we could fix that by creating a game that over time teaches you how to do robotics with a variety of different challenges and levels. Like that's what games are really good at is taking really complex problems and breaking them down into the most elementary parts. And our game, you start off, you do one simple thing and the game claps for you and throws confettis and kind of 99.9% sure you're going to get it. And then they're like, okay, you're good. Let's add something new. And over time, when you play Some Assembly Required by the end, you can pretty much go from playing that game to being dropped in front of a real robotics kit and do it in a physical space. It's pretty amazing.
I love that. I love the whole aspect of giving people that don't really have the resources or the opportunity to have those classes. You give it to them and they can play with robotics, make some things. I really appreciate that. I love that. I
Yeah.
was going to ask you, yeah, regarding your games, when I personally see something that's like education related, like edutainment or edtech,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily, and this is just me personally, I don't necessarily think like, oh, that's gonna be a fun game. If I
Yeah.
know it's something regarding with education, I'm like, I don't know about that. How do you find the balance, like in your game design journey? How do you find the balance between delivering the education, the knowledge, and the skills you want to transmit to the player, but also making it fun and enjoyable?
That's such a great question. And you're right. Like, I'm in this industry and I understand sometimes why people have that impressions because you see both ends. You see educational game companies that put out games that they're so rigid about the learning and the curriculum, and they just want to get everything in about that subject, that essentially it becomes like slideware, or like there's just so much information jam packed in that there's no real mechanics involved. And then you get the opposite educational games, the opposite side of the spectrum, that these video game creators create these really fun games, and then but it's kind of this like, do all these programs, like do
Yeah,
all these word problems, and if you
right.
get them right, well then you get to play our super fun game. And then if you do more word problems, you can get some stuff to trick out your avatar. But like the gameplay is divorced from the actual learning. So yes, you need to get the balance right of, we want games that are super engaging, motivating, that puts players in that perfect zone of proximal development, not too easy, not too hard. They feel supported and kind of it's always just beyond their reach. So really engaging, but then it also has to be efficacious. Like we want to make sure that we're creating games that people are, challenged by the materials and makes them think. It's not just memory retention games like quiz shows, that we actually put them in the subject matter. So we actually have three main three main access points when we design educational games. The first one is identity. So a lot, most games ask you to step into the role of someone else. So, for example, if you play Diner Dash, you step into the role of being a waitress, and for the game, you are the waitress. And suddenly, even if you're 10 years old and you've never been a waitress, you are grappling with what it means to be a waitress, which is serving customers, getting the right orders in to the right people, collecting the tips. Like you're suddenly thinking and behaving like a waitress. So we take that same paradigm and apply it to games. So, you know, um, let's say, for example, obviously, if we're making a game about like, we want you to learn robotics, we're going to put you in the role of being a roboticist. So then you get to like stand in the shoes of that person. And it not only allows you to build confidence in your ability to master the material, because you now see yourself as a roboticist. So that's one convention we use. We really think about your identity in the game, and we try to give you an identity that's super empowering and puts you in a place of confidence of being able to master the material. The
Yeah,
second thing we the second thing we do is we think about the game mechanics. So one of the keys to transferring those skills into the real world is we look at what the objective is. So if your objectives is, for example, like one of the learning's objectives could be, you need to understand, you need to be able to divide fractions into a numerator and denominator, for example. So in the verb in that learning objective is divide. So then in the game, we're going to make you divide. So when we're working with someone new and they're like, okay, we have all of 8th grade science. What should we build a game? We are looking through those learning objectives to look at what are the most active verbs that they have to teach. And then we try to bring those verbs into the game. And then the third tool we use to make amazing games is just systems. Like we talked about this in the beginning, like we look for content that has complex systems, because we know video games are really good at like breaking them down and then scaffolding the player through the system. So that also makes really good context. But for us, the most important thing is what you do in the game matches what you're trying to learn or the benefit you're trying to get, and not divorcing them.
exactly. Making it fun, but also realistic, right? I respect that. Jennifer, something that really caught my attention, and I think this is by far one of the coolest things you've done. You
Okay.
worked on Achille Interactive. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you said this is a video game that was approved by the FDA.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really awesome. We help them with a small part of their initiative, but yeah, if you guys don't know them, go look up what Achille Interactive is doing, AKILI. So they had this dream of using video games to treat, the first condition they looked at was ADHD. And they thought using the tools of video games, which are all the same tools entertainment video games play in terms of motivation, reward, scaffolding, systems, using all of these things, but build and then using the science of traditional methods of how to treat people with ADHD, and kind of trying to take the therapies that are used outside of video games and kind of the methods, recreating them in a video game. So not only was it like were they like, oh, let's see if we could build a video game to actually based on, the real treatment of ADHD, let's see if we could replicate them in a video game. And then they were like, well, if this works, like this should be like medicine. Like this
Yeah.
needs to be prescribed. So they were the first company to go after FDA approval. And in the FDA approval, there are several levels, but yeah, like in the last year or two, they were able to gain FDA approval for their game to be, um, you know, FDA approved and kind of require a prescription. So, there will still be some time till they're fully out and available everywhere. And it's crazy to think what it could look like is that you go to the pharmacy to fulfill a prescription and they give you like a game code or maybe a tablet with the game on it
Whoa,
and that you have to bring back. Yeah, it's
that is
amazing.
amazing. No, that's mind blowing, and it really shows you the power of video games, right? Games are much more than you know a platformer or a shooter or a competition. Games can definitely impact the world in a positive way, and you're doing it. So
Well, what
thank
I
you,
have to
thank
say
you.
is you're learning in every video game that you're playing. You're getting, people who play Call of Duty, they learn how to be a really good soldier. Like if you're like, I don't know, playing a game that involves like a flying spacecraft that's pretty realistic, you're probably learning that. I think the difference is a lot of games that people play for entertainment, they have vast amount of information in their head about this game, but that there's nothing to apply to the real world. That's the only difference because you're learning in video games. And I'm telling you, the reason, you get super excited about a game and there's a point where you're like, I'm done. And then
Yep,
you probably never touch it.
yep,
That's probably when you instinctually know there's nothing left for you to learn in that game.
mhm,
There's no more
definitely.
challenge.
Yeah, 100%. Jennifer,
And you're no longer motivated by that challenge.
exactly. So we're nearing the end of our interview. I was going to ask you if people want to contact you or work with you or see your projects, collaborate. Where can people find you?
Oh yeah, you should definitely come to www.filamentgames.com, and right up there's a contact us form, and I get it in my inbox, so I'll be sure to respond.
Alrighty, Jennifer, thank you so much. That was an amazing interview. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I got you. All right, Greg, how did you like the interview? Oh, Greg, now you're the one muted. Oh, can we unmute Greg real quick? Oh, Greg, can you unmute yourself? All right. No worries, no worries. Greg, let's wait for Greg to figure it out. It's all good. Let us read some of the comments for
All right,
Jennifer.
sorry about that.
Oh,
You
you're
lose
back.
Video Ninja here, and all of a sudden you don't know what you're doing here. But sorry, I love ed tech games. As a father to a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, one who has ADHD, and then learned about this, I was just like, this is what we need more of, whether it be part of another game, part of another ecosystem. I think kids love gaming. You can educate them. I remember I threw it in the Twitch chat growing up with games that I didn't realize at the time were educational, right? It's about balancing weights and putting different things and solving puzzles by putting different clues together. And like, it is phenomenal. I think we need more games because I think even adults would play ed tech games if there were more out there and more enjoyable. I just think it's a great way to take the gaming medium and expand it to a wider audience by providing them educational resources from within that game.
Dude, 100%. Actually, something that I use every day is Duolingo. I'm learning Mandarin right now. And the way it gamifies the like language learning experience, it's amazing. EdTech is definitely the future.
Did I see Space Moloch is talking about Mega Math Blaster? I feel like I played Math Blaster. Is there a Mega Math Blaster? Was there maybe a first one that I played because I'm older than everyone for the most part here?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
And it looks
Awesome.
like we pulled the reviews up here. Again, are game reviews important? 4 people saying yes. I think that was a great interview. I think Jennifer is fantastic. She's very passionate about the industry. You can tell, and just her knowledge of it is just fantastic. And I think they're doing great things.
Yes, Jennifer, thank you so much for that amazing interview. Guys, like we did with Monday, can we please have a W or multiple W's for Jennifer? We want to see those W's in the chat, guys. We want to see those W's. Hey, let's go. Let's go. All right, awesome. Okay, so while we wait for some W's, let's read some comments. From Raptor, I love EdTech. I think it's a great way to get kids to have fun and learn. 100%. Carbon fiber. I would love to do some robotic like that back in college. 100%. I learned a lot of story and Japanese myths in Ghost of Tsushima. Actually, I think I read an article of a history teacher using Assassin's Creed to teach history. So W that.
I think we're at our spin the wheel. Are we ready for that?
Yes, yes. All right, guys. So we're gonna pick a winner. Hopefully not Straw Hat Angel, because that's me. So please don't pick me again. Let's
I
pick a
have
winner.
our winner here.
Who is the winner?
Tonight's winner is Space Mollusk.
Hey,
So we just
Molly,
need
let's
you
go.
to type in that chat, spin that wheel, and hopefully this week we can read what the prize is and we can let you know what your prize is.
All right, Molly, go ahead. And let's wait. All right, guys. Spin that wheel. Let's go.
All right.
Oh, your
Your
alchemy
alchemy
is
is futile.
Does that mean you get nothing?
I don't know what. One more spin.
Okay, let's do one more spin.
Run it back.
All right, spin that wheel. Let's go.
Is that a 7 of 9 reference?
No idea.
Patrick, our producer, let us know.
Yeah, Patrick enlightening us, dude. Ooh, $1.
1 alchemy dollar.
All right, awesome. So, Space Mollusk, you get an alchemy dollar. You can use that to buy some alchemy drip, a cup, or something like that. That's perfect.
Awesome.
All right.
So, before we wrap up tonight's episode, let's talk about some of the other things we can have going on during the week. I think on Friday, or be on the lookout, we do a lab live during the lunch hours of East Coast time. You can catch Lab Live, where we usually do some live tools, being able to see how these tools are used in production, right? Last week, Patrick and I talked through Dash, which is an Unreal tool. So if there's tools that you want to learn how to use and we can help introduce you to people and broaden your audience, we have stuff like that. We are going to get Rick's segment of streaming with indies, where you'll be able to see Monday again. You'll be able to see other friends we have like Zach and the games that they're building out as well, and other tools. And plus, you've got the Flama podcast from Angel. You have Player Driven from myself, where we all just want to share news and help that industry grow. And I loved today's episode. I think both guests were fantastic. It's always great to hear from Monday. It's always great to hear from Jennifer. How do you feel, Angel?
Dude, I think this has been the best show we've ever had. Interaction was amazing. I love seeing people like chatting, giving us W's, having fun, asking questions. This is what it's all about. Like when you do a podcast, it's pre-recorded. I mean, people like it, it's fun, but when it's live, dude, and you can see people's reactions and feed off of them, that's like the best thing in my humble opinion. And guys, next week, of course, we're going to have another episode. And one of our guests is going to be Kareem Abu Shusha from Ubisoft Montreal. Ooh, Ubisoft.
You can't say anything bad about AC Shadows or whatever next week, can you?
Greg, this is America, man. So freedom of speech.
I love it. And you have we have a video that will take us out today. But before we do go and we say goodbye, anything you want to say to our friends or fans and our listeners?
Yeah, I just want to say, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We're very happy to have you here. We would love to see you next week. Thank you for your continued support. And let's see that video, Greg. And thank you, Greg. Thank you, Cassandra. Thank you, Monday. Thank you, Jennifer. And thank you, Patrick.
I am your fellow alchemist, Agustin Chavarria, and here I am in Taipei Game Show reporting for The Lab, inside the game industry. Let's check it out. And here we are at the Indie House, where a lot of developers from Southeast Asia, United States, China, Japan, Uruguay, and a lot of from Europe are showing off their games and a lot of demos. Check it out.